folks! Welcome back to socialscienceskills.com. My name is Grace, and today I'll be continuing us along in the Collecting Data series. Today I'm going to walk you through two approaches for eligibility screening in Qualtrics. First, I wanted to go into a little bit of what is eligibility screening. Eligibility screening is an important component of a lot of surveys where you have specific criteria that you want to meet for your sample population. Your survey may only be relevant to a specific portion of the population at large. For example, people who identify with a certain gender, people of a certain age, or people from a specific racial or ethnic background. Eligibility screening allows us to ensure that the people taking our survey and participating in our research meet these criteria and that the research is applicable to them. Today I'll show you two ways to accomplish eligibility screening in Qualtrics. They're both pretty simple, and hopefully this video will help you determine which is most appropriate for your survey. Let's get started. Today we're going to continue to build off of this really basic survey that we started in the last video, which if you haven't seen yet, I will link to up there. So the first approach for eligibility screening I'm going to walk you through is using skip logic. The example I'm going to use today is we're going to screen out anyone who is under the age of 18. This is a pretty common criteria for eligibility screening because a lot of IRB approval or consent language is contingent on people being legal adults, at least in the US. So I think this is a good place to get started and is hopefully applicable to the surveys that you're working on. I'm going to start by adding a new block where we're going to include our consent information and ask our question whether or not the respondent is over 18. So we can add a block by clicking this Add Block button. And we want to screen any ineligible people out before they take the survey. So we're going to move this block to the top of the survey by clicking on Block Options, Move Block Up. Okay. We can name this block by clicking here to give it a more specific title. I'm going to call it Eligibility Screening. I always spell eligibility wrong, but I think I got it right there. Now, I think I want a little bit of text to thank people for their interest and explain the following question, and then we're going to want the actual question that asks people's age and determines whether or not they can take the rest of the survey. So first I'm going to create descriptive text. I'm going to say thank you for your interest in this survey. To begin, please respond to the following question to determine your eligibility. So it depends on the context, but a lot of times you don't want to state your eligibility criteria explicitly in the text or the question. If we said you must be at least 18 years of age to participate in this survey, if someone who is really interested but was 17 wanted to participate, they might be compelled to lie about their age. So we're going to leave it pretty vague, but you'll probably get guidance from the IRB or whoever is reviewing your research and your survey to get this language exactly right. But this is good for now. We're going to create the question again by going to this arrow next to create a new question and clicking on multiple choice. There are a lot of different ways to ask what someone's age is. For example, you could ask them for their birth year and month. You could ask them to type in their age. You could ask them to select their age from a list. There's a lot of different options, and I'll have other videos walking through a lot of the different question types. But we're going to keep it simple today and just ask, what is your age? And again, I don't really want it to just say under 18, over 18, because that might indicate the answer that we're looking for. So I'm hoping to, so I'm going to have some various ranges. I think this is a way to have the question be fairly simple, but not indicate what our actual eligibility criteria is. I'm going to make this first response option younger than 11. The next one will be 12 to 14, then 15 to 17, 18 to 20, and then maybe 20 and above. I'm not sure exactly which age groups this survey will be advertised to or is targeting, but the ranges you provide here might vary depending on that. But for right now, we just want to get into this distinction between younger than 18 or over 18. So we're going to focus on these younger categories. Maybe I'll make this older than 20 for consistency. There are a ton of different ways to label these that might be more specific, but we'll just have those there for now. And to make this look a little bit nicer or easier to respond to, I'm going to come over here to this section called Answers with a few options. Click on More and select Drop-Down List. I think for ages, especially if you were listing out a ton of different individual years or years of age that someone could be, these drop-downs make it a lot more compact on the screen and are sometimes easier to respond to. Okay, that question is saved. I'm going to show you in the preview really quickly what the survey looks like now, if we just left it as is. So I'll go to preview. Thank you for your interest. Please respond to the following question. What is your age? I'm going to say 12 to 14. And then it allows me to continue on to the rest of the survey and answer the following questions, which isn't what we want. So we need to add our skip logic. So I'm going to close out. Okay, so now we're back at the question. And to add the skip logic, we're going to go over to this row, on this column on the right-hand side. And below where we selected the drop-down list option, all the way at the bottom, is a list of actions. And one of these actions is add skip logic. So we're going to click on that. And we see here that, so our intention with this is to make sure that anyone who is less than 18 or is ineligible is skipped to the end of the survey. As you can see, with the way we framed our question and our goal of making it a little unclear at first glance what the eligibility criteria are, skip logic isn't going to work very well for this because it's only based on one criteria and we need to build logic based on 3. We can click on if younger than 11 is selected, then skip to the end of the survey. We could also do if older than 20 is not selected, then skip to the end of the survey, or anyone 20 or younger would not be able to see answer any of the questions and would be redirected to the end of the survey. This won't work well for us because we need to exclude those younger than 18, and this would exclude those younger than 21. Now we could go back and change our question and make it simpler so that it works within the skip logic framework, but we don't really want to do that because we intentionally structured our question that way. So I'm going to show you one more way to accomplish eligibility screening when you have a question more complex like this. If we didn't mind if anyone knew our eligibility criteria and just had a question that said, are you 18 years or older, yes or no, or select your age, younger than 18 or 18 or older, then skip logic would work well for us. But I'm going to show you approach number 2 for eligibility screening. But first, let's delete this skip logic that isn't really working for us. Okay, so the second approach is done in the survey flow. So click up here on survey flow, and here we'll see all of the blocks in our survey. This is pretty simple. This is a pretty simple survey right now, so there's not a lot to see. To accomplish eligibility screening here, we're going to click Add Below and Branch. Now here we can add a more complex condition than what we were able to include in the skip logic function. So let's click Add a Condition, and we do want to use a question to determine eligibility, but there are other options there that might fit your situation. So we'll leave question as is and select our what is your age question, which is what we're using to determine eligibility. And then select the choices here that are ineligible. We'll start, this condition will include younger than 11 is selected, and then we're going to click this plus sign to make sure that the 2 other age categories that are ineligible are included or considered in this branch logic. So click plus. For the second row, we want it to capture people who selected that they're 12 to 14 years of age. And people aren't going to select that they're younger than 11 and 12 to 14 because that's not true. And the way the survey is set up, they're not able to. So we want this to be or logic instead of and logic. As I'm editing, I realize that should be younger than 12. Sorry, 11-year-olds. When we're using or logic, if a participant fits any of the criteria in this set, then the action will be done to them. They'll be redirected to the end of the survey. And if we used and logic, they would have to fit all of these criteria. They would have to be younger than 11, 12 to 14, and 15 to 17, which is not possible. So we're going to use or, and then click the green plus sign again to add the final category, 15 to 17. So now we've set up this logic that captures all of the participants who will be ineligible. Okay, that sets that. And then we're going to add a new element below, which determines what our ineligible respondents will see once we determine that they're ineligible. So I'm just going to click End of Survey so that if anyone takes this first block of questions and we determine that they're ineligible or younger than 18, they will be directed to the end of the survey. But if they don't meet these criteria, they will continue on to the question block number 2 with our question, how are you feeling today? And whatever else we add to the survey, and then eventually once they finish all the questions, then they'll reach the end of the survey. If you want to add any sort of message explaining to your participants that they were ineligible or why they were ineligible, you can click Customize, override survey options, and then create a custom end of survey message. This has to be made in your library, which is a different part of Qualtrics that we haven't set up yet, but I will explain in a later video. So for now, we're just going to go with the default. And it's really important that whenever you make changes on this survey flow screen, that you save the flow before the page times out or you navigate somewhere else, because you can lose your work. So click Save Flow, and that takes you back to your survey. Now let's see whether or not our eligibility screener works. So I'm going to try this a couple times to make sure that all of the answers or all of the options are working. I'm going to say I'm older than 20. Click Next, and it allows me to answer this question. Then it takes me to the default end of survey message. Now let's try it again. What is your age? Younger than 11. And I'm not able to take that question. How are you feeling today? Which is great. Our eligibility screening logic is working. I'll close this out and hit publish. We're ready to collect some more data. I hope that information on 2 simple ways to incorporate eligibility screening into your survey was helpful. I am sure that this will be a topic that I discuss in more detail in future videos, because there are a lot of ways to customize your surveys in Qualtrics to reach specific audiences. I think the main takeaway today is that skip logic is a good way to incorporate really simple eligibility screening where you have a binary question you're asking people to answer, and that using the survey flow is a more versatile way to get at the exact audience that you're interested in. That branch logic that we set up is super flexible, and you can play around with it to even screen for eligibility on a number of different characteristics like gender or race or family size, something like that. Please let me know in the comments if you have any questions about this material or requests for future video content. I would definitely love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time. Bye.